Let's start. Today we will focus on one of the amazing solution of the company, AT&T Cybersecurity. And we'll give our friend from AT&T Cybersecurity, Mr. Tim and Mr. Lalan, to present the solution. But before that, I will introduce our organization together with my colleague, Mr. Eli Regel. In the last 5 minutes, we will keep it as open discussion. Maybe you can ask questions through the chat and we will try to answer it as soon as possible accordingly. Here we go. Eli, I'm facing an issue with the presentation. Eli?
Yes. You can't move to the next slide?
No, I'm still stuck in the first one. I'm trying again. Okay. Okay. So let's start, guys. Sorry for the delay. I want to start with the question. Do you know what is AI? I will give you 5 seconds to respond. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is not artificial intelligence. This is Abdullah Ibrahim. This is me. And I want to start the presentation with a story. I like sport, I like football, and I like to use football examples in my life, in my career, in even my presentation. And I want to start to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the legend footballer ever. He achieved almost everything, all titles, cups, and etc. and etc. Cristiano Ronaldo played to Real Madrid, one of the best football club ever. And he achieved many amazing titles, but then suddenly decided to leave Real Madrid. He chose to go to Italy, to Juventus. And some people said it's because he had a bad relationship with the president, or he want to look to increase his salary, and etc. and etc. But one of the real fact that Cristiano Ronaldo looked for a new challenge. He looked for a new achievement with a new club in a new era, in a new country. And when I come to my story, this is the same for me. I spent 9 years in sales in one of the leader infrastructure vendor. But then I had a great achievement and great conditions, but I decided to move and to look for my new challenge. And I looked to be in the, let's call it in the championship of the business. I looked for a sales in the cybersecurity era. And you ask me why? It's very simple. I wanted to be in the hot and in the trend topic. Everybody, everywhere, talking daily about cybersecurity. And IT or security managers are looking today to protect their data, to protect their IT environment, to protect their network, to protect their applications. Even we as an individual, we are looking to protect our iPhones, cellulars, our pictures, our Gmail, and our Facebook. So I wanted to be there and to be a key player. So I decided to choose Multipoint as the dream team to be part of this great team. And sorry for missing some of the key players of Multipoint in all our offices all over the world, but I choose to be one of these great team because I wanted to be who can affect and who can bring values as the company is doing daily. And why Multipoint? So I will tell you why. It's very easy. Multipoint is not just a distributor, it's a leader cybersecurity distributor in our region in EMEA. Multipoint Group, founded by Mr. Ricardo Resnick in 2009, and we have many main representative offices located in USA, Greece, Cyprus, Malta, Romania. 2 weeks ago, we launched our new office in Dubai, and of course in Tel Aviv in Israel. In Multipoint, we are looking about both resellers and end users as the same, and we are trying to support our resellers in front of the customers. We have a great professional team that already expert trained and certified. We are focusing in almost all the area, small, medium, and enterprise markets. We have a big reference of customers, telco companies, banking sectors, academy, government, and etc. and etc. and etc. And another announcement that we already shared last week in the media, Ngco, one of the leader Spanish cybersecurity distributor, together with Multipoint Group, signed a strategic alliance agreement. This agreement means that both distributors can get benefits from sharing and transferring the tools, the outsourcing, the offices, and even our customers can benefit from this kind of agreement. For more information about this strategic agreement, you can reach me out after this webinar. I will give my colleague, Mr. Eli, to present the solution, and then we will go to AT&T cybersecurity session. Thank you again for joining, and stay with us, and we need to hear your feedback after the webinar. Thank you. Eli, here's the mic. You can continue here.
Thank you, Abdallah. My name is Eli Regev, and I am a part of Multipoint's team as a pre-sale engineer. I would like to thank you, all of you that joining our webinar. I would like to talk about a little bit about Multipoint. For the last decade, I have been working on various fields of security, cybersecurity. So you can say that I have a relevant professional experience. I will give you a short overview on Multipoint before we start off with the webinar. Our company, it's a value-added distributor with 12 years in the market, operating in many countries, as Abdallah said, and distribute a variety of cybersecurity solutions to address a wide range of security issues. We improve your organization's cyber experience by offering market leading solutions from various areas such as vulnerability management. So we have Tenable, Qualys. From the patch management, we have Big Fix, GFI. We have a network detection solution like Extra Hop, Privilege Access Manager like Secuirty. You can see here on the slide more and more product that we sell. For endpoint security, we use Malwarebytes. For identity access management, we have OneLogin and YubiKey. Also, we have network monitor and management, PRTG, WhatsApp Gold, etc. Network security policy platform from Firemon. We have backup solutions, secure file transfer, many more. And of course, AT&T cybersecurity. Multipoint has a large and highly professional technical department, which is our most previous value added offering to our partner and customers. Every Multipoint engineer has certification for the product he supports. Therefore, you can always be sure that if you have a problem, the solution will be immediately and highly professional. I don't want to take any more of your time, so I wish to present Tim from AT&T. And thank you.
Thank you, Eli, and it's a pleasure to be on this webinar today to speak with everyone. I would like to firstly thank Abdallah and Eli and Ricardo, especially from Multipoint, and the whole team for arranging this webinar today. We appreciate it.
Thank you too, Tim and Alan. Thank you.
Okay, so just let me start by introducing myself. My name is Tim O'Connor. I'm a senior account executive within AT&T Cybersecurity, formerly AlienVault. I'm with the company now for close on 2 years, on the 1st of April this year. And I must say I've really enjoyed my time with the business in the 2 years that I've been here, right? I'm joined on the call today by my colleague, Alan Kelly, who will be speaking later. And Alan is one of our senior solutions architects and one of our best, I might add. And he will be carrying you through a demonstration later in regards to our UTM Anywhere platform, okay? So I suppose I'd just like to start today by speaking a little bit about the history of AT&T cybersecurity and AlienVault and how we came about, okay? Just so everyone is familiar with us, okay? So just bear with me 1 second and I'll just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So who are AlienVault? Okay, so AlienVault was established back in 2007, okay? And our founders were 2 managed security service providers way back in the day, right? And what did they see to bring about AlienVault? So essentially what they seen was they seen a gap in the market around finding a way to integrate multiple security tools into one solution, okay? A very simple kind of principle, but very worthwhile, okay? And that led to the development of our Unified Security Management Solution, USM appliance, which we started selling back in the late noughties, okay? Now, for a number of years, we experienced hypergrowth, which was excellent. The business went from strength to strength, selling our Unified Security Management Solution, USM appliance. And I suppose around the time of 2015, 2016, the company decided to look at what kind of cloud offerings, and I'm speaking about AlienVault here before I get on to AT&T, okay? So they started looking at UTM Anywhere, which was our cloud offering. Now, I suppose ultimately the transition to cloud, as you well know, is underway in the past years, and a lot of companies are still on that journey and maybe starting that journey, right? Okay, so we're here to help clients on that path, okay? And ultimately, we started developing that tool in 2016, and we started selling it for another couple of years, up to 2018. And I suppose that's when AT&T started to really take notice of AlienVault as a cybersecurity solution, okay? Now, obviously, AT&T are a huge company globally. They're listed obviously in the top 5 by Forbes. I'm sure most people would be familiar with the company. So therefore, from an AlienVault perspective, it was seen as a huge vote in confidence for AT&T to be recognizing AlienVault to be their solution to partner up with going into the EMEA market and obviously globally, okay? So we were obviously delighted to take part in their plans, and the acquirement of AlienVault by AT&T took place in 2018 and was completed in 2019, okay? So that transition now to AT&T Business, and our business unit is now AT&T Cybersecurity, was completed in 2019, and we're now part of the AT&T family, right? So I suppose just a little bit on AT&T up on the screen here. Obviously, AT&T have 20 years experience in cyber consulting, long before obviously taking ourselves on, okay? So experts in the field of cybersecurity, obviously in relation to being an effective partner, providing products and services to help detect, protect, and respond to all our clients' needs in regards to cybersecurity. You can see down the bottom here a couple of points in regards to our Alien Labs and our Open Threat Exchange, and I'm going to touch on that on the slides down further, okay? So I'll just move on. So what can UTM Anywhere provide for you, okay? So ultimately, what we do essentially is we save your businesses and organizations time and money, okay? So our all-in-one platform can be deployed out of the box in minutes, okay? We often provide services in regards to professional services to help our clients get the product configured and implemented in their environments. Normally within a day to 2 days, it can be set up really quickly, okay? And it's up and running, and our clients can obviously reap the benefits from that, okay? You can then obviously stay up to date with our continuous automated ready to use threat intelligence, which is available through our Open Threat Exchange, which I'll touch on down the line. And obviously this obviously helps our customers to save money ultimately, because you don't have to have a number of security tools, which is why our founders of the business way back in 2007 decided to integrate a number of different features into one security platform, okay, which is UTM Anywhere. The tool itself has been invested heavily in since 2015, and AT&T have pushed on that development, and Alan will touch on some of the features of the product when he starts to speak. Obviously, eliminating expensive hardware costs and lowering your TCO. And what's TCO? That's your total cost of ownership with a scalable cloud solution, is really important for clients, okay? So ultimately, you could have a number of different solutions. You could have a number of people even in your cybersecurity team. But this product can help eliminate a lot of the costs, okay? And even free up resources for your teams to focus on what they need to focus on. And our tool will look at the various threats and incidents that are coming into your network and stop them at source and identify them for you, okay? Right, so why customers would look at UTM Anywhere, okay? So typically, customers will come to us. Sometimes, unfortunately, they may have experienced a recent attack, and they obviously mention ransomware, and they're in a big panic, and they come to us and they say, please show us what you got, and we'll go through our solution. And often that's something that we typically would see, unfortunately, that customers would have experienced something like a cyber attack, and it prompts them into action, okay? Maybe from a compliance perspective, they might have received a fine, etc., and we would look into that for them. So typically we would see something like a client come to us saying, what kind of SIEM offering can you give us? What type of log management tool can you offer us? And we obviously promote our UTM Anywhere platform, okay? From a compliance perspective, we often see customers come to us and say, okay, I am HIPAA compliant from a health perspective, or I'm PCI compliant from a financial or retail perspective. And our tool, as I'll touch on shortly, is compliant with a number of different compliance regulations, and we have reports that are easily pulled from our console, which Alan can touch on during his demonstration, okay? So just a little bit more just on the compliance side of things. So we obviously comply with the National Institute for Standards and Technology, the cybersecurity framework, so NIST, for anyone familiar on the call with that. So essentially NIST is a set of guidelines for any private sector company to follow to be best prepared for kind of identifying, detecting and responding to cyber attacks, okay? I touched on PCI there just in the previous slide. obviously the payment card industry data security standard, okay? So basically it's for all your retail, your financial companies in regards to cards, transactions, processing, all that type of stuff, and making sure you're compliant against that, okay? We have reports to pull against that. ICO 27001 is basically an international standard measurement for compliance against managing information security. We have that. SOC 2 confirms obviously that your provider, which in this case we hope to be AT&T Cybersecurity, partnered with Multipoint, obviously will manage your data for you, and we can provide reports for that, okay? And then HIPAA obviously covers the health organizations and all the patients' data and keeping it secure and protecting any breaches occurring, okay? So there are a lot of the reports that from a compliance perspective our solution can help your organization with. Okay, so one of the key features of being an AlienVault and now AT&T customer is our open threat exchange. And our open threat exchange consists of about 125,000 security professionals contributing into this exchange on a daily basis. We've about 90,000 global members. And what is it? So basically it's the world's largest repository of threat data, okay? And it's a huge part in where our labs threat intelligence comes from, okay? You can share your own threat intelligence, for example, your teams, your security teams can share your own threat intel here, and you can, there's open forums, for example, and you can speak with other people on here and have chats about what you're experiencing. And there's blogs that you can reference if you do come across any particular alerts or incidents that you need information on. It's very, very useful to have and comes built in with our solution, okay? And then my penultimate slide, okay, so our Alien Labs threat analysis, okay? So our Alien Labs team research emerging threats in regards to our clients, okay? So obviously that saves our clients time, money, and resources again. We'll analyze those threats and we'll obviously validate them against the threat exchange and the information coming in to make sure it is above board. We'll obviously create correlation rules then for our clients, and we'll feed them back into the product on a daily basis. And when Alan was doing his demonstration, he'll touch on some of the Alien apps that you can avail from and integrate with our console, okay? And then finally for me, how does our solution kind of stack up, okay, in regards to total cost of ownership and everything else, okay? So we're not just a SIEM, we're much, much more than a SIEM. We provide a number of different features, and Alan will touch on them very soon. But we provide stuff like vulnerability scanning, intrusion detection, network behavior analytics, and user behavior analytics, okay? So there's a lot of stuff there. Now, a lot of clients might have a product for each of these particular areas of the business, okay? And typically we would see kind of something like that owning something for all of those different functionalities would be about nearly close to 130,000 a year, okay? And our all-in-one UTM Anywhere solution can provide all of that out of the box for you, okay? And obviously much cheaper than that, we would hope as well, okay? So that's something where we feel that owning our solution can help, okay? Now, before I hand you over to Alan, okay, I just want to kind of tee him up correctly. So I suppose from a features perspective, Alan is going to go through some of the features of UTM Anywhere. He will touch on the architecture of our solution, just to explain it to everyone, how it integrates with our Alien apps, and we'll do a quick demonstration of our platform. And we'll leave some time at the end, maybe 10 minutes for some questions. Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Tim. I'll just start sharing my screen there, and I'll go through a couple of slides first, and then I'll actually give a live demonstration of the product itself. So I hope everyone can see my screen. So as Tim touched upon, the product is called UTM Anywhere, and what UTM means is Unified Security Management. And what that actually consists of is, it means the product, it consists of multiple different security tools that would normally be separated, all within one product. And the benefits of that are obviously reduced cost, and having everything in a single pane of glass allows correlation against all of those multiple different products. Now, some of the features within the product are asset discovery. And obviously that's important because if we don't know what's in your environment, how can we actually protect it? Once we have your asset database built from discovering the assets across your environment, we would then perform vulnerability scans, and we'd be able to identify things like operating systems out of date, patches that are missing, software that is vulnerable, a number of things like that. So then also the product also has built-in network intrusion detection. So with that, we'll actually monitor your network traffic, and we'll be able to alert you to anything suspicious or malicious that's occurring on your environment, such as communication with ransomware sites, brute force attempts, etc. The product also has behavioral monitoring, and with that, we'll alert you on things such as users' permissions changed or anything kind of suspicious or malicious that we've detected across your environment. The main functionality of the product then is the SIEM and log management, and how that actually works is we'll gather all of data from all of your different data sources, and that data comes into our system and it gets normalized into a standard format. Now, once it's in that standard format, it goes through our correlation engine. So it goes through our threat intelligence feeds, or it's analyzed against our threat intelligence feeds, and we'll generate alarms if there's anything suspicious or malicious that we've detected across your environment. The benefit of normalizing that log data or the data coming from your data sources across your environment is not just for correlation, it's also beneficial because it allows you to easy search and filter for specific logs within the system as well, because it gets normalized into a standard format. The product also comes with security and compliance reporting, and it has pre-built templates in the product. So if you do need to meet PCI or HIPAA, etc., there's pre-built report templates in the product that you can actually generate specific reports for those compliance standards within seconds by just clicking a few buttons. Whereas in many other SIEMs, you may actually have to go and search for and filter for those specific logs required for that report manually, which can be time consuming. Our reporting also has the ability to be scheduled or automated. So if you do need to create a report for, let's say, your compliance officer every week, you can create a report once and have it scheduled to send every week to that compliance officer. Now, we also have integration with numerous external ticketing and incident response systems. So if you're using something like Jira, ServiceNow, you can manually or automatically create tickets within those systems from within UTM Anywhere. The product also has a user behavioral monitoring. So with that, we'll actually query your environment, and we'll identify all of the users on your environment, and we'll have a user database. And the benefits of that is if you do see an alarm or an incident associated to a specific machine or a user, you'll actually be able to quickly identify who that username belongs to. So you're not spending time actually trying to contact people and trying to identify the user who that username belongs to. The product also has SOAR capability, so security, orchestration, automation, and response. And what that actually is you can carry out response actions within different products from within UTM Anywhere. So to give you a use case, let's say you're using Carbon Black endpoint solution, and we've detected malware on a machine. UTM Anywhere can automatically isolate that host using Carbon Black, or it can automatically block an outbound or inbound connection on a firewall using using your integrations with your firewall. So we have numerous different integrations with third-party solutions. Carbon Black, we've numerous integrations with Cisco products, Fortinet, Palo Alto, Salesforce, Zscaler, etc. If you don't have an external ticketing or incident response system, we do have a built-in ticketing system within the product. We call it the investigations page, and there you can track and detail the remediation steps that occurred for incidents that were detected on your environment. If you do have other security tools, we also have a public-facing API, so you can integrate our product with other security tools using that public API. And finally, we also have our own endpoint detection and response agent within the product. And with that, it can carry out file integrity monitoring on specific hosts. It can do log collection. It also carries out numerous HIDS checks. So we'll check for things like DLL injection, if macros are enabled in Office, and you also have the ability to carry out response actions with that endpoint detection and response tool. So USM Anywhere, as Tim touched on it earlier, it has threat intelligence, and it comes with three different threat intelligence feeds. So we have our network intrusion detection service rules and signatures. We have our SIEM correlation rules and our open threat exchange integration. These three threat intelligence feeds are all managed and maintained by our AT&T cybersecurity labs team. So they're basically a dedicated team of security researchers that are out there searching for new threats and creating rules for our customers. And the big benefit of having that dedicated team there is it's going to save you a lot of time actually searching for new threats and creating these rules, because there's a dedicated team actually doing it. So whether you're a security provider or an end user, there's a big benefit of having that security, that cybersecurity labs team there creating these rules for you. Our threat intelligence feeds are updated daily. It's usually every 12 hours, but if we do need to push out a threat intelligence feed sooner, we can do so. And I suppose, as Tim mentioned there earlier, previously we were AlienVault and we got taken over by AT&T. And for those of you who don't know, AT&T are a massive company, and I suppose one of their primary elements is network infrastructure. And it's estimated that over 1/3 of internet traffic goes over AT&T infrastructure at some stage or another. And what we're seeing since the takeover is the AT&T labs team now actually have visibility into this kind of data, and it allows them to see threats like botnets, ransomware, command and control sites far before anybody else, because there is no organization out there that has that kind of visibility into the internet other than AT&T. So for those of you who need to meet compliance, I suppose reporting is going to be a big topic for you, and a big something that you're going to be using a lot. With our compliance and security report templates, our product allows you to create these reports within seconds. And as I mentioned earlier, we support all of the major standard compliance: PCI, NIST, ISO, HIPAA, etc. And we allow our reports to be generated in multiple different formats. So if you do want to pull that data into another product and to analyze it, so such as Microsoft Excel, you do have the ability to export it in, let's say, CSV. You do have the ability to automate and schedule those reports. And we also have the ability to add hundreds of different graphical widgets to reports, and the ability to report on dashboards. So the benefits of reporting on dashboards and adding the graphical widgets is that they're perfect for C and executive level users who may not be able to decipher exactly what's going on this specific report, but when you have graphical widgets in there, it kind of gives them an easy to understand report of exactly what's going on in the environment. Within USM Anywhere, you can create reports on pretty much anything you can imagine. So you can create reports on alarms, events, which are just normalized logs, assets, vulnerabilities, users, etc. So finally, before I just go down to the product, I'm just going to go through the architecture. The architecture is very, very simple. So it's two-tier. So what will happen is there will be a cloud instance, and this is the web UI you will be accessing, and this is hosted in our AWS account. And then the end user will be deploying a USM Anywhere sensor. And this is a virtual machine that can be deployed on pretty much any virtualization software you can imagine. So you can deploy it in Hyper-V, VMware, AWS, Azure, GCP, etc. And that sensor takes usually on average about 15 minutes to deploy, and that's what's responsible for carrying out all of the work on your environment. So the virtual sensor is what's going to be carrying out the network intrusion detection. It's going to be carrying out the vulnerability scanning, the log collection, asset discovery, etc. Now, There is one other caveat with our architecture, and we also have the AlienVault agent, or the endpoint solution, endpoint detection and response solution. So the benefit of this is this actually communicates directly with the cloud instance itself. So in light of the current situation, I'm sure many companies out there are going to be having people working from home, and they're not going to have any visibility into those machines of the users who are at home. Whereas if you deploy our AlienVault agent on their machines, you will have full visibility into their machines, because the logs from the machines and a number of other things the AlienVault agent will carry out, will send all of that data directly to the UTM Anywhere cloud instance. So you will have full visibility into those machines, and you will be able to see if ransomware is installed or if they're doing anything malicious. So the next time they do come into the office, you can have them kicked off your domain, so they're not spreading ransomware, malware, etc. So now I hope everybody can still see my screen. This is the overview dashboard of UTM Anywhere. And as it says, this just provides you an overview of exactly what's going on in the environment. This is my lab environment. So in this case, we can see the number of alarms today. An alarm is basically just something that we've believe that you should be aware of, and it can be anything from someone who's using Dropbox in your environment, all the ways up to we've detected ransomware installed on a machine and actively communicating outbound. So over here, we can see a breakdown of the alarms by the cyber kill chain. So the higher up the cyber kill chain, the more severe. So system compromise would be something like ransomware is installed and actively communicating. Reconnaissance and probing would be something like a network scan was detected. We can see a breakdown of the events or the logs coming into this environment. So we can see 77% are from Amazon AWS CloudTrail. We can see the event trend. So usually you would see spikes during working hours and drop-offs in off-peak times. We can see a breakdown of the assets on this environment and their operating systems. So we can see 9% is FreeBSD, and we can see a breakdown of the vulnerability assessment here. Now, depending on integrations you have, what firewalls you have, what data sources you have, endpoint solutions you have, what will happen is once you start sending logs from those systems to UTM Anywhere, you'll automatically get dashboards for them. So in this case, this lab environment has AWS, it has Azure, it has Silence Protect, it has AlienVault Agent or the endpoint solution installed, and you can see we have dashboards for each of them, and they automatically get enabled once we start seeing logs from those specific sources. So I'm going to jump down here to the actual alarms page, and so you can kind of see what you would expect. So in this case here, I'm just searching for the system compromise alarms for the last 24 hours on this system, and we can see we have 4. And late last night, I actually carried out an attack on my lab environment, and I sent a phishing email, and I downloaded some phishing, downloaded some ransomware and installed it on a machine. And with that attack, I believe 7 separate alarms were generated. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 8 separate alarms actually triggered just from that single attack. Now, to give you an idea of what kind of information you would see in our alarms, you can see we provide things like the priority, the username of the machine, the machine that it came from, a link to the event. We also provide the MITRE ATT&CK ID, and we provide a link to the MITRE attack page. So we provide a description of the specific attack itself, and we also provide some recommendations on what to do. So depending on what kind of alarm it is, we can provide more information as well. So in this case, this alarm is to do with OTX. And in this case, we can see this was, we've detected indicators of compromises. So file hashes were detected on this specific machine, victim.laptop, and these file hashes are known to be linked to the Maze ransomware attack. And from here, if we wanted to get some more information, all we would do is we would just click on the Maze ransomware activities, and I have the page opened here from earlier, and it would bring me to the OTX page. And so we get a quick summary of this attack, and we can also see all of the indicators of compromise that are associated with this attack. But Also, we provide the links to the threat researcher who actually identified this attack. So in this case, you can see it's actually one of our partners, Palo Alto Networks. They've detected this attack. And if we wanted to go to the threat researcher's page who actually found this attack, all we'd have to do is click this link here and it would bring us to this page. And you can see it's pretty extensive, the information here that we've gotten about this attack from within USM Anywhere, just from a couple of clicks. So if you went through this, it's a fairly comprehensive report on this attack and how it spreads and how to remediate it, etc. Now, in this case, we know that this is a true positive. Well, I know it's a true positive because it's in my lab environment. And from here, we can actually carry out some actions and do something to either remediate it or investigate this incident further. So let me come up here to select action. So this is a lab environment, so the integrations are limited. But let's say, for example, we know this machine now has ransomware installed. If we wanted to isolate this host using Carbon Black, we would just click Carbon Black and we select Isolate Host and we click Run. Now, for those of you who don't have third-party integrations or third-party endpoint solutions like Carbon Black, USM Anywhere also has built-in functionality to carry out some of this. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to isolate this host, using USM Anywhere alone without using any third-party solution, I would just come up here, select the sensor, and I have all of these different options here. So in this case, I would select Disable Networking if I wanted to isolate this host, or in the likelihood, let's say that this, we weren't sure if this actually was a true positive or not, and we wanted to investigate it further. We also have the ability to carry out forensic response action. So if we wanted to get the users logged in, the established connections, processes with the hashes, we can also do that as well, all from within USM Anywhere, without having to require any third-party solutions. Now, let me just go back to this alarm. So in this alarm, we can also see the user that is actually associated to it. So if we wanted to drill down further and find out some more information about this user, we would just select it. We can see all of this user's accounts. So we can see his AWS, his Okta, his Active Directory, his Azure. If he had GCP, we'd be able to see that. If he had Office 365, we'd be able to see that, etc. And up here, we can see some information about the user. In this case, it's blank because it is a lab environment. We can see his location, his manager, his phone number. So if we do need to get onto this customer immediately, all we have to do is just click his user account and we can call him pretty quickly. Now, just come back here and I will go to the events. Now, as we normalize all of this data as well, all of the data coming from your environment, and it makes things very easy to search for. So if I wanted to see all of the logs associated with that attack that I was just looking at, the Maze ransomware, all I would do is just come to events and I would scroll down to Open Threat Exchange events, and I would just select Maze ransomware activities, and I can see all of the different logs associated to this attack. So here we can actually see the whole history of this attack. So we can see that first of all, the phishing email coming in, someone clicked the link, we can see the traffic going outbound in our firewall, on our proxy, we can see the communication that our IDS system has connected, we can see a file is being actually downloaded from that site, and we can then see process creation. So that file that was downloaded has been executed. And over here on your left-hand side, you can see all of the different data sources that have detected this specific attack. So we can see Office 365, we've detected this attack from, our proxy, we've detected this attack from, or a third-party endpoint solution, we've detected this from, our firewall, our DNS, we've detected it from our endpoint solution, we've detected it from Windows system logs, we've detected it from a DNS server, and we've also detected it from our AlienVault IDS system. So you can see this single attack, numerous different data sources have detected it. Now, what is triggering all of those alarms that you've seen earlier on the alarms page is our correlation rules. And those correlation rules are actually threat intelligence feeds that are managed and maintained by our AT&T Cybersecurity Labs team. So in this case, you can see we have 1,394 different correlation rules, but in many cases, these rules are very generic, so they can cover many different data sources. And these correlation rules will kind of cover you from pretty much any attack vector you can imagine, whether it be ransomware, phishing email, brute force, environmental awareness, if someone is using BitTorrent in your environments, all of these rules cover all of those. But on top of that, so if you want to get specific to your environment, you also have the ability to create your own correlation rules, and there's numerous different types of correlation rules that you can create. So you can create alarm rules, which would generate alarms. You could create a notification rule that would maybe send a Slack message or send an email or whatever you want when something specific occurs on your environment, okay? And you also have the ability to create response action rules. So they would be automations, steps that would be carried out if something specific was on your environment. So let's say, for example, ransomware was detected on your environment, a response action rule then could be created to isolate that host, and anytime a machine comes in with ransomware, it will automatically isolate that host, that rule. Now, just to kind of give you an idea of the compliance templates that we have. So these are all of the compliance templates that are built into the product. And let's say, for example, I want to generate this one for all Windows logon failures. If I wanted to generate this report, I would just come over here, select generate report. Automatically, USM Anywhere is filtering for these specific logs. And we can select the format here. So in this case, I select PDF. If I wanted to schedule this report, I could schedule it. Select the time here. Perfect. And select email. And now here we have the ability to add hundreds of different widgets. And we would just click run, and that report would run. Now, just to give you a quick look at the assets page, because I know we do only have, I want to try to keep 10 minutes for Q&A. So this is our asset page, and you can see over here on your left-hand side, all of the different methods the assets were discovered. So we have AWS, VMware, Azure, manually created by a user, network scans, etc. Now, if you wanted to get some more information about a specific machine, all you would do is you would just click it and go to its full details page. Let me just try to find a good option here for you. Okay, so I'll just put one of these guys here. So in this case, this is a machine on my environment, and we can see all of the different information that we have about this. So we can see the number of alarms associated with, the number of logs that are associated, and the number of vulnerabilities that are associated. We can also see information like if the asset is actually powered on or not, so because we're getting this information from VMware. We can see its operating system, we can see the virtual CPUs allocated to it, and we can see the memory allocated to it. And again, this is going to be the same whether you have an AWS environment, Azure environment, etc. You can see the software that's actually installed in the machines, and you can see the software version, and you can see the services as well, the network services running on the machine. I'm conscious of time here, so I'm just going to jump over to the licensing and how it actually works. So I'm sure many of you may already be paying for SIMs at the moment. And unlike other SIMs out there on the market, our licensing isn't based on the number of assets you have. We don't care if you have 100,000 assets or 5 million or 10. We only care about how much data we're actually storing from your environment, because that's the cost to us. So how our licensing works is there's 3 elements of it, but one is very nominal, which is the sensors. So depending on your environment, will depend on how many sensors you will, depending on your network architecture, will depend on how many sensors you actually require. In most cases, it's just going to be 1 sensor that most customers require. Now, the 2 main elements of the licensing are how long we actually hold your log data for in hot storage. So we have licenses from 15 days, 30 days, 90 days, and 180 days is coming out soon. So let's say, for example, you wanted to generate reports for the last 90 days, then you would need a 90-day license. If you only want to be able to generate reports for the last 15 days, then you would only need a 15-day license. Now, the next element is how much data we're ingesting per month from your environment. So we have this instance here in the lab environment is a 250 gig instance. So we're able to ingest 250 gig of log data per month from my lab environment. And as you can see over here, at the moment, I'm only going to have about 150 gig. So I've more than enough room to expand my lab environment if I wanted. We have licenses from 250 gig all the way up to 60 terabytes. So because of that, we're able to cover all different sorts of companies, whether they have 10 users or they have 100,000 users. And that's the big benefit of USM Anywhere. It's highly scalable, so we can grow with your company. So if you at the moment have 10 and then you have a big massive uproar and you have 200 people next month, you can increase your license very simply. One last final caveat of the licensing I just want to go through before I pass over to the Q&A is with USM Anywhere, we will keep your cold storage logs or your raw logs for the lifetime of the product. So if you send log data to USM Anywhere, we automatically hold that in cold storage for as long as the subscription is active. So if you're a USM Anywhere customer for 5 years, you will be able to download the raw logs from 5 years. So this is very beneficial if you have to meet compliance standards such as HIPAA, where I believe it's a 7-year hold or retention rate of log data. I'm going to leave it there and pass you back onto our colleagues at Multipoint so we can maybe have a Q&A and have a closing session, okay? Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Alan. I just see one question there coming through, Alan, very quickly, right? So from one of our attendees. So can you advise on the system requirements for a typical SIEM implementation for USM Anywhere, and how many man days approximately would it take in an ideal scenario? I suppose that obviously depends on the size of the infrastructure, but you get the idea of the question.
Yeah, so for our virtual sensor, you will need 4 virtual CPUs. So that is 4 threads, and you will need 12 gig of RAM for an on-premise sensor. And depending on what cloud infrastructure you would have will depend on the actual resources required. In regards to implementation, I have seen customers actually have our sensor installed, up and running, and have everything configured within 24 hours. And I suppose one thing I wanted to mention there as well that I forgot to go over, in nearly all cases, I believe it's 43% of customers who have tried our product have seen an alarm within the first hour of deployment. So that will tell you how quickly you can get the product deployed and up and running in your environment.
Okay. And I see another question here, Alan. Thank you for that, from Mohammed. So he's saying, I suppose a new ransomware reached my PC, hypothetically not detected by AlienVault, starts to encrypt the files. Does our solution prevent this ransomware continuing to encrypt files? He wants to obviously reduce the ransomware effect to eliminate greater loss.
So USM Anywhere can actually prevent it. So what will happen there is if our endpoint solution is actually deployed on your machine, you will actually see logs coming in saying that there's alterations being made to numerous different files on your system. And then from within USM Anywhere, you can actually carry out some response actions, whether it be actually shut down that machine to stop that ransomware actually locking all those files, or there's a number of the other options you can do as well, such as actually kill the ransomware process itself from within USM Anywhere. Again, isolating the host is probably something definitely that you want to do there, so to stop that ransomware spreading across your environment.
Okay. And I also see one, thanks Alan for that, from Ngco earlier in the session. I think he just repeated it now, but how could Unified Security Manager connect the vulnerability assessment with a patch management tool? Would it be API integration?
So that would really depend on what kind of patch management tool you're actually using. Our product itself doesn't actually have patch management.
Alan and team, can you hear me?
Yes, hi Abdallah.
Hi, I also need you to take attention. There is some questions in Q&A, not just in the chat, from Mr. Abdul Rahim. And there's something like 4 questions. And I want
sorry there, guys. My internet just dropped out. I'm not sure. Did you get the end of that answer?
Yeah, I think you were just finishing your answer, Alan, in regards to our tool doesn't do patch management.
Yeah, so we don't do patch management, but you also have the option of then integrating our product with a patch management tool using our API, and you may be able to do it that way. I suppose our product is never going to be able to compete with the likes of Nexus for vulnerability scanning. But obviously, the price of Nexus far outweighs our product in total, and our product meets more than many customers' needs for vulnerability scanning. And I suppose the big benefit of having the vulnerability scanner in the product is if you're actively seeing alarms on a specific machine, you don't actually have to jump over to your vulnerability scanner to be able to see what vulnerabilities that has. You just have to click one button in USM Anywhere, and you can see all the vulnerabilities on that machine.
Okay, thanks, Alan. I see another question here in the Q&A. So which module would we suggest in